All right, now I think one of the things I had you guys read while I was asking was something on the types of volcanoes. Am I correct? So, what are the three types of volcanoes? No. What are the three types of volcanoes? Okay. Cinder cone. All right, good. What's another one? Shield. And what's the last one? Composite. And another name for composite volcanoes is called a stratovolcano. And strato, you want to think of it like layers. Okay. One of the key terms that is often used in geosciences is something called strata. And strata means layers. Okay, so we think about a stratovolcano. It's a volcano made out of layers. So what I want to talk about before we start talking about volcanoes is going into some of the key things here when we talk about it. And basically we have these three terms here: a vent, a crater, and then the caldera. Now a vent, if you want to think of it like this, we basically have this large magma chamber sitting underneath the ground. And then this magma chamber feeds into the neck of the volcano. And so we get kind of this whole thing right here. So where's the crater at for a volcano? Yeah, it's the very top, right? So basically we look at the crater. Okay, it's this little guy right here. So what's the best way to define a crater? Okay, so some type of indentation. At the top of a volcano. We're going to just kind of color in our magma here. This is really about as smooth as I can come. All right. So then we're going to talk about this thing called a vent. And the best way to kind of think about a vent is think about it as a leak. Okay, think about the air shafts that are in mines. Okay, so mines that are in the earth, they have these auxiliary holes that they call air shafts. And it's what allows fresh air to go into the mine as well as the bad air to leave the mine. Okay, so it's this transfer of air. And so in a volcano, we have these shafts that come out to be the side of the volcano. And these are your vents. So a lot of times when a volcano is erupting, you're going to get these little smokestacks that come out from the sides, or smaller eruptions off to the side. Those are from the vents of the volcano. Now, what keeps this volcano at ground level? If this magma chamber is full, what kind of keeps that sitting there? Okay, let's put it this way. Why does a boat float? Buoyancy. Basically, the boat is pushing down on the water as much as the water is pushing back, and it keeps it floating. So in a lot of ways, this volcano, as large as it is pushing down on the ground underneath it, but because of the magma chamber, there's nowhere for that ground to go, so it basically keeps the volcano afloat. But let's say that after a very large eruption, my magma chamber nearly empties itself. Is there anything there then to support my volcano? So what happens? So then the whole thing literally sinks. And when that then sinks, we now have caldera. We now have this new indentation that is still basically the top of the volcano, but our volcano is no longer above the ground, and it's now under the ground. That's what our caldera is. A perfect example of a caldera is Yellowstone National Park.
What happens after it erupts?
Say that again, Megan?
Does it happen after it erupts?
Yes. Yep. So after that magma chamber empties, there's no longer anything to support the weight of the volcano, so it literally collapses in on itself. Alright, so questions so far with those three terms? The vent, those are just little cracks that allow the pressure to be released. Now you guys told me there were three types of volcanoes: shield, cinder cone, and composite. I want you to look at these three right here. Look at these three images. What can you tell me about their shapes? How are they alike? How are they different? Okay, let's try this one. What are the things that they all have that are the same?
They're a volcano.
Okay, they're all volcanoes. Good. What else? Okay. They're rocks. Yes, they're rocks. More than that, though. Yeah, so they're all conic. So the term conic, meaning it makes a cone. If we look at this big one right here, I mean, this is really hard to see, but it's still a cone. Just a really big cone. And so they all have this conic shape to them. Okay, what else can you guys tell me? Something else that they all have in common. Is there maybe one feature that these all have in common? I think it's pretty obvious for the craters here in the center. What about up here? You guys see how it has that slight little dip right here? Does this one have a crater? It's very nice. So then again, they all have craters. But now there's something unique about each one of these. Yes, and they're formed from different types of magma. When we look at the one on the right, on the left, this is a shield volcano. What can you tell me then about the slopes of a shield volcano?
It's not as
Yeah, it's not as steep, so they're very gentle. Okay, a very gentle slope. And these things are massive. All right, the reason why they're called shields, if you think about the shape of a shield, you basically have this kind of approach to a shield, and that's exactly what this kind of is. All right, so when we think about perfect examples of shield volcanoes are the Hawaiian Islands. Okay, those are great examples of shield volcanoes. Now, what do you notice about the cinder cone? Yeah, what about the size?
small.
Very small. Okay, so where these tend to be maybe 1,000 or 2,000 feet tall from the base, cinder cones might be less than 500 feet. Okay, they're very, very short, very small. And then we have composite. Well, like I said, a composite could also be called a stratovolcano. What do you notice about the stratos? Very steep. Okay. When we think about volcanoes, this is the type of volcano you guys normally think about, right? If I say, picture a volcano, you guys will probably picture a stratovolcano. Okay. Now, their shapes, their sizes. Look at the material. Look at the material here around a cinder cone. What do you notice about that material? Okay, well look at the stuff that's made up.
Is it like, it's like dusty?
Yeah, it's dusty. It's really loose. They're small fragments. And it's really important we're talking about a cinder cone and why that is, and we'll talk about that today. Your shield volcano, Again, the gentle slopes is because of the way it's formed. And then when we look at the stratovolcano, they're very steep, solid rock. Okay, again, so we're going to talk about basically why the material is the way it is and what type of eruptions that occur with them.